The spotlight hits my face like a warm accusation as I stand at the polished oak podium in the grand ballroom of the Regency Plaza in downtown Austin. My tailored navy blazer feels suddenly too tight across my shoulders. Cameras flash in rhythmic bursts from the press section, and the low hum of 200 media executives and investors leans forward in their seats. This is the moment I've scripted in my mind for years, the launch of Harper Echo Media, my network of intimate storytelling podcasts that have already pulled in millions of monthly streams. But my eyes keep drifting to the front row. 5 chairs sit empty, each with a crisp white card bearing a handwritten name: Mom,
Dad,
Mason, Aunt Lydia, Uncle Greg. I'd sent the invitation 6 weeks ago with trembling hope. A reporter from the Austin American-Statesman raises her hand first. Alaina Harper, who inspired you to build this company from a late-night hobby into a full media network. The question lands heavy in my chest. I reach for the water glass, buying a second to steady the tremor in my fingers against the cool crystal. The room waits, expectant. I set the glass down and meet her gaze. My voice comes out softer than the confident tone I rehearsed. Maybe. It came from knowing what it feels like to be completely invisible in your own home. Silence drops like a curtain. Then the cameras click faster, capturing the exact second my practiced smile fractures. I don't cry. I learned decades ago that tears only echo in empty rooms in the Harper house. But the memory rushes in anyway, me at 12, cross-legged on the threadbare carpet of my bedroom in our modest 2-story in suburban San Antonio. I'd saved 4 weeks of allowance for that cheap plastic microphone from the dollar store. The kind with a fake foam windscreen and a cord that didn't actually plug in anywhere. I arranged my stuffed animals in neat rows like a studio audience and whispered into it with all the gravity a kid could muster. This is Alaina Harper with breaking news. Dreams really do come true if you refuse to stay quiet. Downstairs, Dad's voice boomed through the thin walls. Did you see that tackle? That's my boy, Mason Harper. Future NFL star right there. The Sunday night football replay was on again. The same highlight reel of my older brother's middle school game that Dad watched on loop. I raised my voice just a notch, determined to finish my imaginary broadcast. The door creaked open. Mom peeked in, finger to her lips, her smile tight and tired. Sweetheart, could you keep it down? Your brother's game film is on, and your father's trying to concentrate. Maybe later. Okay. The door clicked shut. Later never came. Mason's games. Mason's trophies. Mason's future. These were the sacred pillars of every Harper family conversation. A son carries the name forward. Dad had said it plainly the year I turned 14, when I asked why he missed my school speech contest. Your brother has real pressure on him. Alaina, you're the easy one. No expectations means no disappointment. Lucky me. Standing here now at 24. 6 years after scraping through community college, while Mason got the full ride to Texas Tech for football, I feel the irony settle like dust. I learned to record in whispers after that night. I dreamed quietly, spoke softly into that broken toy mic long after the plastic cracked, and my initials EH remained carved in the side with a thumbtack. I imagined strangers leaning in close because they wanted to hear what Alaina Harper had to say. If I became exceptional enough, maybe even my own family would finally notice. The ballroom lights feel hotter now. I continue the speech, words rising from those childhood whispers into something solid enough to fill the space. They didn't show up tonight, but everyone else did. 3 weeks earlier, I'm pulling another graveyard shift at the campus coffee shop in San Antonio. Steam rising from the espresso machine as the clock ticks past midnight. My third double shot of the night. The owner, Carla, counts tips and whistles when I mention my latest download numbers. 500,000 monthly listeners now. The pride in my voice still feels borrowed. Carla's eyes widen. 500,000 people tuning in to hear you every week and your own parents don't even know? I shrug. Tamping grounds with practiced force. They're busy with Mason's senior season. Road games every weekend. What I don't say is they visited my cramped off-campus apartment exactly once in 3 years. Dad inspected the locks. Mom checked the fridge expiration dates. They skipped the tour of my makeshift studio in the closet, foam panels from the hardware store. A second-hand mic stand. I assembled myself. Last week I texted them the link to the episode that cracked the top charts. Mom replied 2 days later. That's nice. Honey. No mention of listening. Carla squeezes my shoulder. Their loss. Kid. Thanksgiving arrives with desert heat still clinging to the air. I drive the familiar highway to our childhood home. Fingers tight on the wheel as a massive Texas Tech billboard flashes Mason's jersey number 22. The driveway overflows with relatives. Uncle Greg booms from the living room the second I walk in. There's the career girl still doing that podcast hobby. Dad claps my shoulder. Beer in hand. She's got a few thousand listeners now. Hobby's taking off. Huh. A few thousand. Last week alone we hit 487,000 downloads in 24 hours. I bite my tongue. Where's Mom? Upstairs. He says. Go say hi. I climb the stairs past walls lined with Mason's framed football photos, state championships, all district awards, newspaper clippings. My own graduation picture hangs crooked at the very end, smaller, an afterthought. I push open my old bedroom door and freeze. My twin bed is gone. Glass display cases now line the walls, packed with footballs, trophies, signed jerseys, game-worn cleats. Mom stands in the middle, dusting a large silver MVP award. She startles. Oh, Elena. I didn't hear you. We've been meaning to tell you, with Mason possibly going pro. We needed space for his accomplishments. My throat closes. Where's my stuff? In the garage. Boxed up. She brushes her hands on her apron. You've got your own place now. Come help with the stuffing. Everyone's waiting. Downstairs, Mason holds court, recounting college glory to cousins. He nods at me once before continuing. At the dinner table, Dad raises his glass to Mason and NFL scouts. Glasses clink. My water glass stays untouched. After dinner, I slip into the garage and find the cardboard boxes labeled Elena shoved beside paint cans. I dig through one and pull out my childhood journals. Creased spelling bee certificates. High school journalism awards. The framed front page of the college paper I edited, all of it bent and dusty. My phone buzzes, an email from Pinnacle Audio Network. They want to offer a major distribution deal to scale my shows nationally. The catch, they need financial references and a co-signer for the downtown Austin studio lease. I find Dad alone in the kitchen loading the dishwasher. Dad, I need to talk to you about something important. He barely glances up. Make it quick, highlights are coming on. I explain the opportunity, the biggest of my career, the need for a reference. His face darkens. So, you want me to stake my credit on this podcast hobby? What if it flops and I'm on the hook? It won't flop. I have 500,000 listeners. This is my real chance. He cuts me off. Mason has NFL scouts at every game. That's real opportunity. This internet stuff isn't stable. My fists clench. I'm asking for a signature, not money. And I'm saying no. When you have a real job with real prospects, we'll talk. Conversation over. That night I sit cross-legged on the floor of my old bedroom, now a shrine to Mason, between the display cases and record a raw, unfiltered episode on my phone that I never publish. This is what invisibility sounds like. I whisper into the mic, voice steady even as tears slide down. This is what it feels like when the people who should see you clearest refuse to look. Back in my apartment the next night, I methodically remove every family photo from my desk and file them in a drawer. I sign the Pinnacle contract with only my name. Professor Ramirez from community college calls the following week. I always knew you had something special. Elena, your voice carries truth. Carla offers the coffee shop back room for late-night recording until I can afford better. Trent Ellis, a tech founder who discovered my show through a friend, emails about investing in my vision for women-centered storytelling. Your authenticity is rare. I want to amplify it. The night I close my first major ad deal alone, I sit surrounded by contracts bearing only my signature. The cracked plastic microphone from childhood sits on my desk like a talisman. For the first time, the weight of my family's indifference doesn't crush my chest. I breathe deep and free. They may never see me, but the world will. Weeks later, champagne glasses clink around my parents' dining table again. Dad stands, chest puffed. To Mason, finally a Harper making headlines. Pro tryouts next month. 28 pairs of eyes turn to my brother beaming with false modesty. Mom dabs tears. Uncle Greg claps Mason so hard wine nearly spills. I smile politely. My own glass barely touched. Nobody notices my phone vibrating with news that my podcast just crossed 1 million monthly listeners, the milestone I've chased for years, arriving in the exact moment they toast Mason's potential career. Later, Mom corners me in the kitchen while everyone watches Mason's highlight reel. Honey, would you mind not bringing up your work tonight? Your brother needs the spotlight. The scouts are still deciding. I arrange silverware with mechanical precision. When exactly is my turn for the spotlight? Mom, she sighs the sigh of a woman practiced in gentle erasure. You know how your father feels about real careers versus hobbies. The word stings. 1 million listeners. 200,000 in quarterly ad revenue. A hobby. Aunt Lydia corners me before dessert. Bifocals slipping. How's your little radio show going? Dear. Podcast. I correct for the 6th time. It's going well. We just hit. She interrupts. Already turning away. Did you hear Mason might sign with the Texans? Your father's beside himself. 2 weeks later, I stare at the press release draft on my laptop. Harper Echo Media launches at 24. 5 shows. Lee Studio space in downtown Austin. 15 employees counting on me. The launch is set for next Thursday at the Regency Plaza. 300 RSVPs. I type the email with shaking fingers. Mom and Dad. I'm launching my company Thursday at 7 p.m. Regency Plaza Ballroom. This is the most important day of my life. Please come. Love. Elena. I check my phone hourly for 6 days. The morning of the launch, a text arrives. Sorry, honey. Mason's playoff game tonight. Dad says good luck with your thing. Love you. I read it 3 times. Then set the phone face down. The mirror shows a woman in a sharp gray suit, eyes bright with unshed tears. I blink them back, reapply mascara, and rehearse my speech once more. The ballroom sparkles with industry elites when I step onto the stage that evening. The 5 empty chairs in front stare back, each with its reserved card. I swallow hard as the spotlight finds me. Thank you all for coming tonight. Harper Echo Media represents a new era of authentic digital storytelling. The speech flows until the Q&A. The same reporter raises her hand again. Elena, who inspired you to start this company? I glance at the empty seats, then back at the crowd. Maybe it came from knowing what it feels like to be forgotten. A hush falls. Cameras click frantically. I see recognition flicker across the faces of women in the audience, daughters who know the ache of being overlooked. My phone rings at 11:42 p.m. as I kick off my heels in the hotel room. Dad's number. Are you trying to embarrass the family? That comment is all over social media. Mason's teammates are texting questions. His voice thunders. Which comment? I ask. Voice steadier than I feel. That nonsense about being forgotten, like we haven't supported you your whole life. I sit on the bed, exhausted by years of pretending. If you feel embarrassed, maybe there's a reason. You think anyone cares about your little shows? This isn't football. Elena, this isn't real. Millions do, I reply, the truth straightening my spine. Just not you. 3 heartbeats of silence. Your mother's upset, he says finally and hangs up. By morning the clip has gone viral. Headline scream. Young media founder speaks truth about family dynamics. My inbox floods with messages from women sharing stories of being the invisible daughter. Subscriber numbers double overnight. 3 platforms offer partnerships. The Women's Media Alliance invites me to keynote their national conference. For the first time, I feel the power in my voice, not despite being forgotten, but because of it. 6 months later, the Forbes 30 Under 30 issue arrives. My photo fills a quarter of the page under the caption, Self-made media entrepreneur Elena Harper revolutionizes intimate podcast storytelling. My phone chimes with an email from Victor, harper@email.com. Subject, we saw your Terry Gross interview. My heart stutters. Elena, your mother and I listened yesterday. You spoke well. We're proud to see a Harper making an impression in business. Warmth blooms, finally. Then the last paragraph. On a personal note, Mason is struggling after being cut from camp. His son's private school tuition is due. He could use some support, about $3,000 monthly, until he lands on his feet. Family should help family, right? The warmth collapses into ice. I close the email without replying and turn the magazine face down. Some patterns never break. But I have. 3 years of silence shattered by 23 sentences about family pride, ending in a request for monthly payments to prop up Mason. I trace the screen, feeling only cool glass. The apartment I bought with my own money feels quiet around me. No trophies. Just awards they never acknowledged. We're so proud, Dad wrote. Proud. The word tastes like ash. 30 seconds on Google would have shown my accomplishments years earlier. But they waited until Mason needed money. I type a careful reply, polite acknowledgement, brief project updates. Nothing about money. I'm building something that matters. Send. His response arrives within hours. Less polished. Did you see the part about Mason's situation? 2 more emails that evening. 5 the next day. Each growing more desperate. I answer none. A week later, my receptionist's voice crackles over the intercom. Miss Harper, your brother is here. My stomach tightens. I smooth my charcoal skirt and stand. Send him in. Mason fills the doorway of my corner office, still carrying the swagger of a former star quarterback. His designer jacket hangs loose on broader shoulders. He eyes the downtown Austin view behind me. Nice setup. Must be paying well. What can I do for you? Mason? He ignores the offered chair. Dad's emails. You've been ignoring them. I responded to the first one. Not about what matters. He paces, stopping at my bookshelf where the childhood microphone sits preserved in a glass case. I lost my coaching gig. Comment. You've got millions of listeners while my kid eats ramen. What kind of aunt does that make you? The word aunt lands like a slap. I've met his 9-year-old son exactly twice. Both times while Mason talked football with Dad. You haven't called me his aunt since he was born. This isn't about that. He slams a palm on my desk. This is about family helping when times get tough. When times got tough for me, night shifts in college. Launching alone, where were you? That's different. How? He falters. A girl. Just the daughter. Voices rise. Heads turn in the open-plan office beyond the glass walls. I take a breath. I built this while you had scholarships and tryouts. While Mom and Dad attended every game and missed every milestone of mine. You can apologize. Mason. But don't treat me like your emotional ATM. His face reddens. You've always been jealous.
No.
I've always been invisible. I open the door. We're done here. That evening notifications explode. Mason's Instagram post about selfish sisters who forget where they came from gains traction. Dad calls 7 times. I let them go to voicemail. Mom's message arrives near midnight. Voice cracking. Elena. Family takes care of family. We gave you everything we could. Mason needs your help. He's family. I delete it. By morning, damage control calls begin. A producer mentions Dad reached out about family concerns that could affect my work. 2 advertisers receive similar contacts. Dad has called in every loose media connection he can find. My team gathers unprompted in the conference room. Eyes fierce with loyalty. They're pressuring you through business channels, my head of operations says, sliding a list across the table. How do you want us to handle it? My assistant's pen hovers. I study their faces, the people who chose me, who see my value without blood ties. Tell them all the same thing. Harper Echo Media speaks for itself. Period. My mentor in New York calls that afternoon. Your brother's loud online. Need anything? Just your continued support. You've always had that. You're doing the right thing. Boundaries matter. The validation wraps around me like armor. 3 days later, the intercom buzzes again. Miss Harper, your mother is on line 1. My finger trembles over the button. Mom. Elena. Her voice sounds smaller. I wanted to call myself. Not through your father. That's a first.
She sighs.
I'm sorry we missed your launch. I should have been there. The apology hangs, unexpected and incomplete. I wait. Your father doesn't know I'm calling. Mason is angry you won't help. And you? I'm trying to understand. A long pause. The things you said in that interview about being forgotten, was it really that bad? The question stuns me. 30 years of erasure, and she asks if it was that bad. Do you remember when I was 12 and you told me to be quiet because Dad and Mason were watching football highlights? That was just one time.
And enough.
It was every time. Silence stretches. When she speaks again, her voice hardens. We did our best. Your best was reserved for Mason. I breathe through the tightness. I have a meeting now. Mom. After I hang up, my assistant knocks. Your cousin Becky called. Uncle Greg is asking questions about what really happened. The perfect Harper family image begins to crack under the pressure of truth. That night, I stand at my apartment window, overlooking the Austin skyline. Dad texts, "This isn't how Harpers behave." I reply, "Then I'll be a Harper on my own terms." I block his number. Then Mom's. Then Mason's, one by one closing the doors they only opened when they wanted something. The silence that follows feels like freedom, not emptiness. A week later, an email arrives at 2:17 a.m. Subject: Your nephew misses his aunt. I count breaths to steady my pulse. Then open it. Elena, your mother, and I hoped you'd join us for dinner Sunday. Mason is going through a rough divorce.
His son asks about you.
Don't you think you should set a good example as his aunt? Family takes care of family. You remember how we sacrificed for you. The laugh that escapes sounds foreign. Sacrificed, letting me attend community college while buying Mason a new truck. I don't reply. 3 more emails arrive by morning. Mom's plea about our little boy struggling, conveniently forgetting Mason is 31. Dad's reminder of Harper family values. Mason's with a photo of his son holding a football captioned, "He wants to meet his successful aunt." The manipulation is transparent, yet still squeezes my chest. During the morning production meeting, my top interviewer, Terry, raises an eyebrow when I silence another call. Family again? They discovered I have money. She softens. That interview you did last week about family estrangement is trending. People connect with your story. The press is asking why your family never appears at events. A profile writer asked point-blank about the untold story behind Harper Echo. I could tell the truth, I say. Exactly who they are. Terry touches my arm. You could. But is that the voice you want the world to hear? The question follows me home. That evening I power up my microphone. The red light blinks patiently. This is a special episode. Names and identifying details have been changed to protect privacy.
I pause.
Temptation to name them burning. But that would make me what they claim, bitter and ungrateful. Today I want to talk about what it means to be the daughter who was always loved last. The one who learned to dream in silence because her voice wasn't worth hearing. For the next hour I speak without notes about the 12-year-old girl with a toy microphone, college applications, converted bedrooms, launch events with empty seats. I never say father or brother, instead a parent blinded by gender expectations and a sibling raised to believe the world owed him everything. The power lies in what remains unsaid. When I finish, I sit in silence before pressing publish. Title: The Voice They Ignored. By morning 1 million downloads. By evening 5 million. Within 48 hours, 10 million people have heard the story without hearing my family's names. The first call comes from Dad at work. Voice trembling with fury. Take it down. People know you're talking about us. Am I? I never mentioned anyone by name. Everyone will assume. Only if it sounds familiar. Dad. Only if it sounds like something you do. He hangs up. Mom tries next. Tears in her voice. We've always loved you. Elena. How could you say such hurtful things? I didn't say they were about you. Mom. Her silence confirms everything. Mason texts, real family wouldn't air dirty laundry. I don't respond. National media picks it up. Headlines, The Untold Truth Behind Harper Echo's Founder, and America's Forgotten Daughters Speak Out. My inbox overflows with letters from women sharing identical stories of invisibility. Industry colleagues send quiet support. My staff works with renewed purpose, understanding the mission to amplify silenced voices. The episode becomes our most downloaded ever. Comments flood. I thought I was the only one. 3 years later, morning light filters through my Austin apartment windows, gilding the wall of awards. Gray Media has grown to 50 million monthly downloads across 15 shows. The silence in my home feels comfortable after years of shouting to be heard. A notification pings, an unfamiliar email. Subject: From your nephew. My coffee cup freezes midair.
Derount Elena. I'm Tyler.
I'm 12 now. I listened to your episode about invisible daughters. I think I understand why you don't talk to my dad anymore. Our family treated you badly. I want to be different. Could we meet? Just us. The Harper pattern, reaching out only when they need something. But he's 12. I suggest a public coffee shop near the office. Brief and controlled. 2 days later, he sits across from me, gangly limbs, uncertain smile, Mason's jawline but gentler eyes. He pushes a small box wrapped in Sunday comics paper toward me. Dad doesn't know I'm here. Mom helped me find this. She said you might want it back. The paper crinkles. Inside rests the small plastic microphone, cracked along one side, yellowed tape holding it together. My initials YH carved into the base. 20 years collapse. I'm 12 again, whispering stories into this worthless toy while everyone else watched football. Where did you find this? My voice catches. Mom found it in Grandpa's garage when they were cleaning. She said it was yours. Tyler fidgets with his straw. I listened to all your shows. The one about invisible daughters made me cry. Dad never talks about you. But sometimes I hear him and Grandpa arguing about you when they think I'm playing video games. Something inside me breaks loose. Tears blur my vision for the first time in years. Thank you for bringing this. The words squeeze past the tightness in my throat. Could I ask you something? Tyler leans forward. How did you know your voice mattered when nobody listened? The question strikes with familiar precision. This boy carries the same curse, the watcher, the quiet one, not the golden child. I reach across the table and squeeze his hand. I didn't know if it mattered. I just knew I'd disappear completely if I didn't use it. Dad says I should play football, but I'd rather write stories. The confession rushes out, eyes starting to read my reaction. You don't have to be like anyone else, Tyler. Just listen and tell the truth. That's all any voice really needs. His smile breaks like sunrise. Could I learn to record them someday like you did? When you're ready, I promise I'll teach you. That evening, I placed the broken microphone on my shelf between my Peabody Award and the Forbes feature. The contrast, plastic toy beside crystal trophy, feels like beginning and culmination. I press record on my private journal, the one show no one else will ever hear. Not every wound needs an apology to heal, I whisper, cradling the microphone. Sometimes the greatest freedom comes from realizing how strong the silence made you. I pause, remembering Tyler's earnest face. And sometimes healing arrives through the ones who watched and chose to be better. My phone chimes with a voice message from a number I don't recognize. I started recording my own stories.
Aunt Elena.
Tyler's voice, clear and hopeful. I smile as I listen. The cycle breaks, not with a shout, but a whisper.